What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And on today's episode, we're going to be working on this 2005 Honda Civic Si, and it's got a laundry list of things that we're going to be doing to it. We're going to be doing a clutch, a pilot bearing, axles, oil pan gasket, and catalytic converter, and then one more thing. Detonation sensor. That's what we're doing. But we're going to do it all in the same video, because to do the oil pan gasket, it says you're supposed to drop the K member anyway, or the cross member, subframe, whatever you want to call it. But we're going to do all this at once just to make everything easier. And what we're going to do first is, yours may be a little different. This does have a cold air intake on it right here, but yours might have the factory one on there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start dropping everything off. I'm going to start by taking the axles out first, and then we'll work on getting all the shift linkages and sensors and mounts and all that good stuff off of here, and then get all the bell housing bolts out, and we'll see about getting everything out as one piece. But let me gather some tools and then I'll be right back. I went ahead and took the axle nut off on the driver's side, and we're going to take it off on the passenger side now. They are 32 millimeters. Come on. There we go. And if you don't have an impact like that, what you can do is put the lug nuts back. Oh, excuse me. So if you don't have an impact like that, what you can do, you can put 2 lug nuts back on here, then get a breaker bar, a pry bar, stick it in there whichever way the wheel's going, and you can use this for tightening and for loosening it up. But you can put this in here, and then you can brace it against the ground, against jack stand, something like that, and then you can take the axle nut off. It's going to take a little bit more effort doing it that way, but you can still do it that way. Now what we're going to do is, I'm probably going to take off this tie rod in just to make it a little easier on me, so I can move stuff around. And then we're going to break, I don't know how well y'all can see up in here, this lower ball joint loose. Nut is right here on the bottom, and if I remember correctly, these should be like a 17. It's been a while. Yes, 17s. So you might not have been able to see that, I couldn't see the camera. But we're going to break both of those loose, and then we're going to get these axles out of the way. This right here is the passenger side. We took the bottom off, hit right here with a hammer to break that loose, and then I used like a pry bar like this, got in here and pried down inside of here so we can get the axle right here out of the hub. I'm going to go around on the other side and do the exact same thing, and I'll show y'all exactly how I did that. Maybe it'll come loose a little bit easier than this side did. So we got the nuts off of them both now, and we're going to hit right here to break that one loose. That one, and then you can turn it this way or that way. I'm going to go that way, and you want to hit about right here in between there somewhere to try to break it loose. So I'm going to set y'all up where y'all can probably see this. I hope you can see it, and we'll show you what it looks like whenever I pull it out. Here we go. Wow, that one come out way easier than the other side did. And now I'm putting it in here, writing down and moving it out of the way. If we can get this axle to come out, it seems like it's kind of stuck in there. And this axle looks like the tip of it's been ground off. Like, look at that. Yeah, I bet somebody, whenever they took it out last, they mushroomed the tip of it, and they probably had to grind it down so it would go back inside there. So you don't ever want to hit on the tip of these if you're trying to get them out and reuse them. Most of them have, it looks like somebody put like a little center punch in this one, but most of them have like an indentation in it, and you can put a like punch style impact gun on there, or not impact, but air hammer, and you can run it and hit it and it should knock it out. But if not, always try to get like a brass drift or something to hit right here so you don't mushroom that tip out. You'll bend the softer metal before you'll bend this metal. But now we're going to try to pull the axle out on this side. On the passenger side, we got a couple little things we got to unbolt before we can do this. So let me see. I don't know how well y'all can see up in there, but you're just going to get behind the axle up in here with the pry bar like this, and you should be able to pop it out. Also, whenever you pop these out, have a drain pan ready, because more than likely fluid will run out of these. Alright. Axle is popped. Here's your axle. Like I said, we got new ones, so we're not going to be reusing those. Now I'm going to go to the passenger side and take out everything that you need to take that axle out. Let me show you why I used the pry bar out on the driver's side real quick, just so everybody knows where it's at. So what I did was, this is looking at it from the axle side. I went in right here, and you can fit that big pry bar I used, and they're real easy. And I just pushed one good time and it popped right out. Now let's see what we got to do to get the passenger side out. Also, I took all the oil pan bolts out already, except for the 2 nuts, and we did drain the oil already, because it does say you have to drop this cross member to get the oil pan off, which is a horrible idea. I don't know why they didn't make it where you could do it without that, but engineers, you know what I mean. Okay, so looks like to get this one out, we got maybe this bearing right here that needs to come out. This shield right here could come off as well, it looks like. And then we can, I know y'all can't really see much. Hold on, let me get a flashlight. Alright, let me go over that again. So if you take this out, looks like we take this shield off, which looks like there's a bolt here and then one on top of it right about here. Then we can take these 2 bolts right here to hold the support bearing out, and then it should slide right out without any issues. So we got the shield off and the bearing bolts out, and you have to take the shield off first to get the bearing off, because of there's one bolt right here that you can't get to because of the shield. Your ratchet hits it a little bit. So once I get this out, I will show you where the bolts are and where the shield bolts go. So I'm going to try to set y'all where y'all can watch this. I know it may be a little dark just because of where I got y'all, but I got my drain pan under it. Now I should be able to pull it all out. One unit. And there we go, we got it out. Now I'm going to show y'all where the bolts are on the support bearing and where it bolts to the actual bearing for the shield. Also, I don't know if I told y'all yet, it might sound a little stuffy because I had a head cold yesterday and I'm starting to get over it now. So hopefully it's bearable with y'all. I know I sound pretty stuffed up right now. So here's your bearing. Your mounting bolts are here, there, and there. And then your cover right here will bolt in right there and right there. It should bolt in just like that. Now the shield right here, those are 12s, and the cover is a 14, or not the cover, the shield is a 12 and the bearing is a 14, sorry. And like I said, you have to go in through the axle and between the axle and the bearing to get this one right here out. And if you notice, the shield kind of gets in the way with this little lip. And then the other shield bolt bolts to the engine. Well, now we got that, what we can start doing is I'm going to pull some of the exhaust hangers off from the subframe, because we're going to have to lower the subframe down to actually get the transmission out. But before I do that, like I said, I'm going to pull some of the hanger positions off for the exhaust, which they have to come off anyway because I'm changing the catalytic converter. Then we're going to put an engine support bar up here as well, because we have to support the engine because we're dropping the transmission and the cross member. And normally Honda is pretty good about putting a hook on their engines, but I don't see one. Normally there's one right around in here somewhere. So we may have to adapt something for my engine holder. But while I'm up here, I may as well go ahead and start disconnecting some of these sensors and stuff. So we're going to have to disconnect the shift linkages and some of these sensors. So you'll have this shift cable. It's got this right here. I don't know how well you see it, but it's got like a little cotter pin in it. You just fold that, pull it out of the way. There should be a washer behind that. Then you can pull it off of the linkage. Then it should have like these little brake clip holders. Just pull these up. Should be two of those, one here and there, and both of those are the same. Then you got a sensor right there, and you got another one that looks like maybe an O2 that runs down to the mount down there. And that may be all of the sensors that is on this thing, because that might have been just like speed sensor right there. I'll have to look and see. Can't see any other ones from up here other than this cable right there. But like I said, I think that runs down and goes to your O2 sensor or your mount. It's hard to see from up here with this intake in the way. I got a little bit more done. We went ahead and took the cold air intake off on this. We disconnected the slave cylinder. There is a 10mm flare nut right here, and then there's a 10mm bracket bolt right there. That's your slave cylinder wire. And we took this wire right here is actually the speed sensor, and this one right here is, I don't know what sensor that is. I'd have to look that up. I'll look it up for you, and then I'll put it right here in the description of the video, or in this section of the video rather. And took 3 bell housing bolts off. Most of these bell housing bolts are going to be 17mm, so here's the 3. I just like to leave them about where they come out of, because sometimes they can be different lengths, sometimes not. And to be honest, I think that may be most of the stuff up top, short of, I think the starter bolts have to come out. Oh, and we disconnected the battery also, just because the starter is bolted to the transmission. And now we can go back underneath and start taking stuff off down there. Now I'm going to take this exhaust hanger off right here, and I'm going to try out this new tool I got. It is the Lyle exhaust hanger tool. There should be a tool haul video up a couple weeks ago of the new tools that I just recently got, and we're going to try this out. I'm going to have to use 2 hands to do it. So here's that. Oh yeah. Let me try it on that one actually. Oh yeah. That worked nice. Yeah, it worked out way better than trying to fight it getting it out. So yeah, like I said, there should be a tool video up by now showing all the tools, and this right here should be in there. Right, so We already took this cover off right here. It's just 3 10mm that held it on. Like there's one right here and there was 2 right there. Like I said, I don't know if anybody's ever had this out before, so we don't know what all's been done to this car. But next step, I'm gonna try to probably take the starter out, and then I'm gonna set up my motor hanger just so I can try to go ahead and start taking this cross member, subframe, whatever you want to call it, out. Alright, so where did we leave off? I went in and had some lunch, so I'll put that back in. What I did was, there was a transmission hanger right here, and I took it off and put it right here. There's an open bolt hole right here. So I took, there was a mount piece right there. It's like a bracket. Looks like that. There was 2 12mm that held it on. And then I just snaked it out around the water pipe right here. I did take the 10mm off that attaches the water pipe to that bracket as well. And then this little line right here, if you pull it out, you can maneuver it and it'll slide out from around the back of it. Then I put a bolt into that with that bracket, and that is what I used to hold the engine up. We still have the transmission mount on here, but we're going to take that off now. And the way we're going to do that is, there is a bolt that goes through right here that looks like it's probably about a 17. We're going to take that out, and then once we take that out, I'll take the actual bracket out too. That way it gives us a little bit more room to when we're lowering down the transmission, so it doesn't hit the side of the car. And then we should be ready to start pulling the exhaust out, and then pulling some of the mounts out as well, because once we get the mounts and the exhaust off, we can actually lower the subframe. And there's only 4 bolts that hold the subframe. And when it comes to the subframe, you're going to lower the sway bar and lower control arms down with that. Well, we got the catalytic converter out now. I don't know where I've set it at, but I got it out. Oh, it's on the other side of my drain pan over there. And there's 3 bolts on the back and 2 on the front. The 2 on the front are going to be 12mm, and the 3 on the back are going to be 13s. I only broke 1 on the back, which that doesn't really matter because we're changing the catalytic converter anyway. But we are at the point where we're about ready to lower the subframe. I took all the bolts out of the mount that is right there, and then took the 17mm bolt that was out up here on the front. So the next thing we need to do is, I think we got a couple little lines like this line right there. It looks like a 10mm on the back side of it. And then once I get that off, we should be able to lower this right here. I believe these are these? They're 17s also. So the subframe is held in with 4 17mm, and your sway bar and lower control arm should come down with it. But like I said, all I gotta do is take this out right there. It's a 10mm that holds that line on, and then we can take the 4 17mm out, and we should be ready to drop it down. So my camera died as I was starting to pull the bolts out, and I did not notice it only had like 5% left on it. But we got it out. The way I did it was, I put this board right here in between there, and then I just put my jack under it and took the bolts out and slowly lowered it down. There was one more bolt holding it on. It was right here. It was another power steering line connection. So here's where those 2 were, and then you can see each one of the mounting locations. So we got this out, and we should be almost ready to pull the transmission out. The only thing I got left to do really is pull this mount right here out, and then the mounting bracket. Once we get that off, I think we can start pulling the transmission off.